All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. So, thank you all for joining us. We are here to talk about harnessing the power of AI and teamwork, an introduction to Atlassian Rovo. And we're very excited to share more with you about Atlassian's newest AI capabilities. First, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. We are recording the webinar, so we will send out the recording after the session today. You can ask questions using the Q&A button that we'll answer at the end of the presentation. So feel free to pop any questions that come up in there, and then we'll leave some time at the end to go through those. And with that, we will go ahead and kick things off. So joining me today, hi, I'm Erin Phillips. I'm our Director of Marketing at Isos Technology. And I have with me today Andrew Bauman and Holly Tompkins. Andrew is our Director of Enterprise Solutions at Isos Technology. Andrew, do you want to go ahead and give a little introduction? Say hi to everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. First of all, hey everybody, happy early Halloween. As Erin said, I'm the Director of Enterprise Solutions here at Isos. I've been in the Atlassian ecosystem for the last 9 years or so. My job is all about helping my customers solve the hardest challenges they have, implement the newest technologies. And as you can guess, AI and Atlassian's Rovo have been a very hot topic amongst my customers over the last couple of months. So excited to be here on the webinar today.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. And then we also have Holly Tompkins here with us. She is the head of Global Business Value Advisory and AI Sales. That's a mouthful. At Atlassian, and our Rovo expert here today. So Holly, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi, Erin. Hi, team. Holly Tompkins, I've been with Atlassian for 8 years. The entirety of that time working with customers on adopting our technology for business advantage. I lead a team of value experts that help customers quantify that value. And then we're also in the early stages of building a team to work with customers on Rovo solutions specifically.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited about the conversation. So let's dive in. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to AI. So we're going to start with the role of Atlassian Rovo as a digital assistant. And everything these days is called AI. That can mean so many different things. Totally the buzzword, hot topic of conversation. Holly, can you give us an overview of Rovo and where it sits in the larger landscape of AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing Rovo not only accelerate outcomes in service and biz teams, but really a lot of teams are embracing AI with their engineering teams and their product market, or excuse me, their PMO teams. So the teams that are missioned with accelerating software delivery, and we do that by helping users optimize knowledge discovery. Right, these are large language models, so it's deriving insights not from data necessarily, but from knowledge. And they are then able to find information and take action on that information. We just concluded a beta with a set of customers right before we went generally available a few weeks ago. And of those beta customers, we actually had 75% of them that we surveyed say they were able to save between 1 and 2 hours a week just by having access to Rovo in their workflows. It was a really exciting outcome, and we're really looking forward to now transitioning those beta customers into production use cases and working with the broader landscape of customers.
And Holly, that 1 to 2 hours statistic is a perfect way to kind of look at AI in general, but look at Rovo in general. You know, when I explain it to my customers, the digital assistant keyword is kind of what I hone in on too. It's AI will help you do more strategic work, more value-added work, right? The keyword you used in the beginning was accelerate outcomes, right? AI is really good at repetitive tasks that you can build up a data set for. It can kind of handle those things that maybe those 1 to 2 hours of your week can easily go to more strategic things, right? So that's kind of my favorite use case with AI when I'm trying to explain it to someone who's net new. The other one, what I like to call the brainstorming effect, right? You know, Rovo and AI are not meant to replace, you know, really thought leadership type activities like writing a blog, for example, but they help get rid of the, what I like to call the, you know, white page I can't even say the word, but you know what I mean. You're sitting, you've got an assignment to write a knowledge base article, right? And you're looking at a blank page. Rovo can at least help you get started. And then you can kind of go in there and change some things, make it a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more human written. But again, it'll take what could have been a 4-8 hour task and shorten it for you, right? So it's giving you time back to do more strategic things.
I love both those use cases. Who couldn't use an assistant, right? we all need some time back in our day. And in marketing, as a writer, that's my background. That staring at that blank page is horrible. So have something to get you started. It's super helpful. So now that we've kind of done a little overview, let's go a little deeper into Rovo. Some key functionalities of the tool and challenges that it's solving. And I know we just touched on that a little bit, but let's, go one layer deeper.
Yeah.
Holly, do you want to? Yeah,
let me share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes, we
great.
can.
Great. So we've categorized the functionalities according to 3 keywords: find, learn, and act. So I'm gonna walk you through those in the context of engineering outcomes. Again, what we see is customers are starting here with these types of outcomes, but we know that they expand beyond these use cases. So specifically, we see customers adopting Rovo to accelerate productivity across their workflows, embracing and adopting engineering standards to improve code quality, and then bringing context to code wherever your teams work. So here we've got Rovo's enterprise search capability, which helps users find the information that they're looking for, wherever that may be across their connected SaaS applications. So if you're looking for something like mobile design patterns, Rovo Search will return the relevant results from all of your data sources, including Loom videos, Confluence pages, Slack messages, Figma files, and then you can filter by content type. So you can find exactly what you need. In this example, a new employee sees on their onboarding page a need to connect with Brian Lynn. Who is Brian Lynn? You open up the Rovo chat environment to learn who Brian Lynn is, and Rovo summarizes Brian's role. It leads that new onboarding person to say, what is enterprise marketing, right? And then Rovo will take the context from those connected data sources and provide an answer on what the business function does. You may be working, this is pulling from relevant resources that that onboarder has recently accessed, right? But also, it's got a knowledge base across all the onboarding from that person's prior joiners, prior new employees, and it will tailor the response specifically to that person. Here's another view. Hang on, let me hit play. There we go. So here's another view of Rovo chat in a Jira issue. And let's say you want to check in on what's causing your build to fail in Bitbucket. So Rovo now lets me know that I've got an incompatible library that caused a test to fail. Tells me where to go and make that change, and helps me to reduce my context switching to go take action. Definitions is another key feature that we see customers adopt. And this helps people learn in context. So you're here, natively in a ticket. It's pulling from different data sources to sort of help you understand what Project Raspberry is. And it's showing you the sources too. So if you want to double click and go into any of them to learn more, you can. Oh, hang on. There we go. And then last, I wanted to share something I'm really excited about. GitHub Universe is going on this week out in San Francisco, and we've got a prominent place in the keynote. But Rovo goes beyond just our products, right? We talked about being able to find information across connected data sources, across your SaaS applications, and we are trying to do that specifically with wherever your devs are working. So we recently announced Rovo for GitHub Copilot, and this helps developers just stay in the zone and find the information they need to do their jobs. So now, rather than context switching tabs and tools to hunt for information, you can just type @Atlassian Rovo and find information from Confluence or Jira. That could be something relevant to the latest sprint you're working on, a design standard, a spec, perhaps a requirement for that you're designing, right from Jira and Confluence, brought natively into the developer's IDE. So this is available today for any customer of both Rovo and GitHub Copilot. And then last, I'll mention Rovo Chat works everywhere. So we've also announced a Rovo browser extension that brings Rovo to any website or Google Doc. So here you've got a Google Doc around Project Birdhouse that is an underline with a rainbow, which is the feature that I talked about earlier with definitions. So you're bringing definitions into connected data sources with Google Docs as well. And you can find more information about that term through either our chat experience, again, natively in the browser. It has the context of the page that you're working on. This also extends into the public internet. So if you go to Wikipedia and want to interrogate on your favorite topic, you can use RovoChat to do that too. So all of these customers are really excited about and seeing value from immediately.
That's amazing. The definitions and context, how many times, how many acronyms, how many code names do we use within our organizations? Or, you're collaborating with someone and you're like, what are they talking about? So I can find that being really...
Especially for new onboarders. I mean, we use the lingo and the jargon so much that you don't even notice it. And only when you have a new face in the room do you go, oh, shoot, I've been using that acronym and you don't know what it is. We used to have like a Slack channel that you could ask the bot for keywords, but it's a lot easier when you're reading a page to not have to context switch, go out into Slack, just natively click on it. Yeah, we're really excited about it.
I love it. More information at your fingertips. Okay, so now that we saw Rovo in action a little bit, we're going to pop up a poll and ask everyone, what is your biggest challenge today in planning and tracking work that you hope Atlassian Rovo can help with? And go ahead and select your biggest challenge, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the results.
I'm excited to see what everybody's
super curious. I know. Task prioritization, taking action, team collaboration, tracking progress, reporting and insights. All things very important and relevant to any job. I also see someone has their hand up, and that might be by accident. I don't know, but if you have questions as we're going through, feel free to drop them in that Q&A module, and we'll have time at the end. We'll go through and we can start answering questions, because I'm sure there are a lot of things people want to know that we're covering a lot today. Okay, let's see poll results.
Ooh.
Reporting and insight. Holly, what you got an ooh.
So Andrew and I were actually talking about this before we came, and we both said either taking action is going to be the highest rated or the lowest rated, and we weren't sure which. So I think I'm a little bit surprised it's the lowest. I think for me, I'm always looking for ways to just accelerate what I'm doing. And usually if I'm getting an insight, I want to then take action to it, right? Maybe I want to publish that insight into a Slack channel, right? And so for me, it's connecting those workflows into a multi-step process to kind of, derive the action that ultimately will move the needle on whatever we're doing. Yeah.
100%. I think reporting being the top result, like you said, Holly, we were expecting taking action, but even before AI, one of the biggest challenges my customers have is building good reports. So I can totally see why, new technology comes out like AI. How is that going to solve my biggest challenge overall, which is getting good KPIs, reporting up to the C-suite. That makes sense.
Visibility.
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but one of our talking points is knowing if your data is even ready. So can you get those insights to then take action? And a lot of people might not even be there yet. So I think the other thing about taking action is there might be some, I don't know, just more questions around what that actually means. And so I know that we're excited about it, but let's talk about region. And that, the way in which AI, which Rovo is going to take action for people. So can you, Holly, explain what Rovo agents are, and then maybe share some use cases? And I think maybe with a little bit more explanation, people will be more excited about taking action.
Definitely. When you look across the industry, there's sort of a uniform agreement that agents are going to be the thing that really change the way we work. So what we talked about around, searching and finding information, those are more general use cases, right? Chatting with an experience, with a general knowledge source, like a general purpose sort of tool. I would think of agents as being a specialized tool. And I think about that specialization in 4 different parameters. So the first way is around knowledge. So right, your search capability has access to all the connected data sources. It has access to all of your Confluence, all of your Jira, all your Slack public messages that you've connected. When you create an agent, you actually narrow into a very specific knowledge source, and you're doing that obviously to make the results more predictable because you want it to behave in a certain way. So this is the second the second framing of an agent. So knowledge source and character. I want it to behave a certain way and know a certain knowledge. So that behavior or that character is something that you write using sort of low code, no code, right? Just prompt engineering. It's natural language, but you're telling it to behave a certain way and know something very specific. Be a domain expertise. Behave like this. And then you're giving it a goal, right? You want it to optimize around a certain outcome. And then ultimately you want to enable it to take a specific action. So knowledge, character or behavior, goal, right? And then ultimately action. Right now the industry is really looking at agents kind of singularly. Like I've got one agent that can help me prioritize my backlog, right? But the reality is when you give it a singular goal, it's going to behave in a pretty narrow way. The reality of human intelligence is that we are able to kind of balance and weigh competing goals, right? Competing characters. And I think we'll see a world where embracing an agent of agents mindset is really going to be where we see complex workflows take shape. One of like the easiest ways I've seen customers adopt agents, they're going out and they're pulling agents into their automation rules. So just make those automation rules a little bit more intelligent, a little less if this then that, which is very black and white, and a little more open to gray area.
100%. I think the example too that you used in your answer there, Holly, about grooming the Jira backlog is a great way for someone to get started understanding agents. To your point too, I think those of us who've kind of kept the pulse and are kind of in the industry have been hearing about agentic AI for a long time now, but now I feel like it's kind of just at the precipice of being unleashed to a lot of customers. And the backlog example is kind of great from that way because it's a very straightforward example of something you probably do it every week. Especially if you're in a Scrum Master role, you go in your backlog, you groom it, you meet with the team, and the power with the AI, power with an agent, is that it can learn what your priorities are, right? To your point of, leveraging competing priorities and understanding a bunch of different things at once. It'll learn from you and say, okay, these types of tasks may be connected to a certain epic or that just contains certain language, maybe about ensuring customer satisfaction are more important than others, and it will automatically groom that backlog for you every Monday. And so instead of spending an hour, 2 hours even, I've heard of, in your Monday morning Scrum backlog grooming session, you're only spending 30 minutes. Harkening back to that earlier stat you shared about giving you time back to do other things, to develop, to meet with product owners, to understand higher level requirements and gather those requirements, and maybe even meeting with customers to increase the size of your backlog, all because the agent is grooming it for you, and again, reducing that time.
Yeah, I'm hearing there are certain things that are repetitive, right? You're going to do them every day or do them every week. And if you could automate some of that intelligently, right, by using an agent, agentic AI. I hate that. It's hard to say. But that's the type of stuff where you do like the gains in productivity, and then you can focus on some higher level decision making or more strategic tasks versus, some of that really rote, repetitive things that are necessary to keep the business running, but is that the best and highest use of your time? Okay, so talked about agents. Hopefully everyone has a little bit more of an understanding. I know I do. We talked about some of the capabilities, some of the challenges that can be solved. Now, I know everyone wants to hear real life use cases, and I know we had some customers in beta. And now we already have some organizations that are implementing and adopting Rovo as we speak. So let's talk about transforming team productivity with AI, real life use cases. Holly, I know you have some.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorites was a group of product managers that participated in our beta, and they wanted to spend more time with users, right? Deriving insights from their user base so that they can make the right decisions for their investments. And so generally they're getting on a Zoom call, they're recording them, maybe pushing them into Loom perhaps. If not, they're automating the transcription into Confluence. They were then they had an agent that then engaged with each of those Confluence pages and derived the insights and actually brought not only the insights, derived the insights from the transcript, but they also structured the format of the feedback in a consistent way so that then they could aggregate those findings to make them more visible into their investment decisions. So kind of an interesting use case, bringing together multiple systems, but I think that's the future that is really coming very, very quickly. Yeah.
I think my favorite use case for team productivity is around the onboarding example. Erin, you and I were recently watching a Gartner seminar that talked about teams that speak the same language perform better, right? And I know we've talked about definitions a lot, but you also have to acknowledge that it can be a little daunting to hear an acronym or hear some sort of lingo repeatedly and then get in this kind of no, I got to stop trying to say it. Get in this situation where
paralysis.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you very much. I'm going to look up how to say that after the webinar. You can get in a situation where it's too late to ask, right? And AI gives you that freedom to ask kind of without needing to say, hey, I've been in a couple of meetings and I've heard this term a lot. What does it actually mean? And so with the onboarding example, what you can do is you can set up an agent to talk to your new person and get them up to speed, right? You can feed them some of the knowledge-based articles that Holly showed in her example and create a very conversational approach. That's one of my favorite things in ITSM. One of my favorite trends in ITSM over the last couple of years is that, and this was, I believe, a PwC study, but more so than ever, your employees want a conversational way to interact with shared service. They don't want to make a ticket. They're used to this chat platform that B2C services offer them. And so you saw that a lot over the last couple of years with the virtual agent and Slack integrations. Now we're going a step further where they can interact with not just a virtual agent that maybe is pre-programmed, right? You have to spend hours and hours making sure it knows what the questions are going to be. The agent will just learn. And so you don't have to spend a lot of that prep time pre-programming it, because the agent will understand your onboarding process just from the data you give it, then create that conversational onboarding experience that, number one, will get your employees up to speed quicker so they can start adding value to the business. But number two, it also frees up time for your current employees. They don't have to worry about sitting in an hour or two onboarding session, going over terms. They can still do that hour or 2 hours, but again, they can focus it more on strategic things, more on team building and chemistry, not kind of just boring acronym, soup type of behaviors, type of learnings.
Yeah.
How many of us, oh, I was just saying, how many of us have sat through a terrible onboarding experience at an organization? Not at Isos, but prior.
Well, and new employee onboarding is so important as a leader. If you're bringing in new people to the business, that's their first perception of you as a company, and you want to make it as easy as possible for them to come in and have a big impact. It's a measure that we measure in our own engineering teams very closely. Yeah.
Talking about Rovo use cases and AI really ties into Atlassian's system of work, which is not a new concept necessarily, but so maybe a new term. Again, we need a definition for it. We need a rainbow underneath it. Atlassian system of work, and a big part of that is going to be AI and Rovo and automation and that collaboration between teams. You want to talk a little bit about that, Holly?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's fundamentally three key capabilities that every business needs to do well. And the first is align teams to goals. The second is plan and track work towards those goals. And then the third is collaborate on knowledge. And knowledge can take many forms, right? That could be async video, like with Loom. That could be Slack messages. That could be, documented, trusted knowledge sources like Confluence. And for me, Rovo really enables all of those, right? You can use an agent to help you better align team to the right align work to the right teams. So if you're making a big investment in a particular area, wouldn't it be nice to know who's worked on something similar to this in the past? Right. So finding the right resources to deploy on the right goals is a really important topic. Planning and tracking work, right? Moving work through your delivery cycle more efficiently is certainly something that agents can do, but also, just that GitHub integration, just helping people, move their work forward from a day-to-day perspective. And then collaborate knowledge is obviously where Rovo shines, right? So it's not just on finding, it's also on creating and learning with your knowledge base. So we really view Rovo as a foundational pillar that underpins and enables each of these three core, capabilities, these philosophies, if you will.
I really do love how Rovo adds to the system of work kind of philosophy that Atlassian has, right? Like making sure your team has shared goals are so important. But one of the things that we find is we'll have customers on Jira and Jira Service Management and Confluence and like several Atlassian products, but you've still got other products. You still got other technologies that you use like GitHub, Slack, great examples. And Rovo kind of helps underpin those things together and really present this kind of centralized understanding of your business, of your system of work, so to speak. So it's really a great technology add to kind of the Atlassian platform from that perspective.
Yeah. And we've embedded Atlassian Intelligence into even our platform capabilities. So things like service, right? Our virtual service agent is available natively in our Jira Service Management offering. But we've got Rovo as more of a foundational pillar. Some of those AI specific capabilities are available through our additions. Yeah.
I like what you were saying, because I think sometimes people get tool fatigue, like, oh, now there's this another tool I have to implement, another tool I have to learn. But what we're talking about is that it's really integrated. It's enhancing all of your workflows. It's enhancing what you currently do. So ideally, it's not a very large lift. It's not, oh, suddenly everyone has to now go learn this new tool and it's going to change everything that we're doing and we're incorporating it across the organization. Okay, now that everyone is extremely excited about Rovo, everyone, if we did that poll again, would say, take action. That's what I want to do. Let's talk a little bit about implementation. So again, not that it necessarily has to be a huge learning curve, but there are definitely best practices for implementing AI, implementing Rovo, user adoption, and all of that. So, Andrew, I'm going to start with you. How do people go about getting started with Rovo if now they are going to exit this webinar and rush and be like, I need Rovo?
So I've got 4 best practices, and we're going to start with kind of maybe the most obvious one is all about AI readiness, right? So to your point, Erin, learning AI and interacting with the chat functionality of Rovo, the cognitive search functionality of Rovo, is supposed to be straightforward, right? That's part of the value add of the technology. But you still shouldn't skip the step of, hey, we're implementing this product, this is how you use it, right? Good change management behavior. So that's my first one. Don't assume that people are just going to know how to use this tool or adopt it very quickly unless you take that OCM type step. Number 2 is ensuring the data readiness, right? The data hygiene. So like, Holly's mentioned it multiple times, Rovo is kind of programmed over your data set. So if your data set contains bad information or outdated information, right, you want to make sure that it's cleaned up to a certain degree. So that hygiene is important to making sure the Rovo agents that you deploy, the cognitive search you deploy, are giving you good results. And part of that too is permissions. Rovo respects the user permissions you have set up. And so there's 2 ends of the spectrum with that. If you're poorly permissioned in the restrictive sense, Rovo is not going to give good results to the people who are using it. And the opposite problem, if your permissions are too open, then Rovo makes it so much easier for somebody to find something that maybe they're not supposed to access, right? And so double checking your data integrity from a permission standpoint is really, really important when you're looking at a tool like Rovo. My final 2 examples are prioritizing your use cases. So Rovo AI is hot. Everybody in your organization is like, oh, we're finally implementing an AI tool. Your CXO, your CIO they're all gonna really want to take a look at what the results of this implementation are. And so when you prioritize your use cases, the 4-word spiel I say is get specific, but be prescriptive. Say, hey, these are the use cases we're going to tackle first with the agents or cognitive search, what have you, and be prescriptive. I really am just not doing pronunciation well on the webinar. I did agentic AI great, and now I just can't say anything else. No. So one more try, just one more try. You want to make sure that people know what the use cases are and you anticipate the results of those use cases, right? If you're looking to save time, like we've gone over today through the webinar, then focus on that use case. Hey, we're trying to give 1 to 2 hours back in the onboarding process. Document that in the beginning, document in the end so you can prove success. And then my final example, which I've hinted to before, is integrating across platforms early, right? Again, to the example, Rovo can plug into Figma, Slack, Google, etc. And you want it to. You don't want to integrate with every single thing in the beginning, but the more data sources it has, the better it will be. So pick those data sources, integrate early, and then kind of get started with Rovo.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Andrew. And I'm going to amplify with choose a partner like Isos to make sure that you that you take that change the last mile. So a lot of the studies on artificial intelligence it shows that older workers are more reluctant to adopting AI in their workflows. And so I think we all want to be equitable in managing our workforce. And so we need to really take great care with deploying this change. I also think be really prioritized with the impact of your use cases. So, if you can find a really easy use case, but it's, not really impactful, like it's like five people that kind of do that and see value in that, not going to be hugely impactful to the business. Like you want to think about what are the rote tasks that large swaths of our teams are doing every day, and try to really make an impact on those, because you'll just see a bigger impact across the business more quickly.
Absolutely. You want, to the point, right? You want your use cases to have a big impact to the business as a whole. Again, because AI is so interesting to people, right? Everybody's seeing it. So you want the results you deliver to be impactful to the organization, right? That ROI is going to become important as you move down this journey.
Yeah.
And I think everything that you said, a lot of it is, it's not hard to turn the tool on, right? It's not going to be hard to, for some people to say, oh my gosh, I want to start using this. Let's boil the ocean, right? Where that strategic consulting comes in is, where is this going to have the most impact in my organization? What makes sense for us to tackle first? Are there certain sets of data that we should get ready because we see that that's going to have the most impact, or we're going to be able to optimize the most here? So I think that those are the types of conversations that we're having with clients. It's not, hey, Rovo, this is shiny, this is cool. I mean, yes, it is, but it's like, how is this really going to impact your organization? And that's with Rovo, that's with AI in general, that's with really any new tool, is where are you going to see the most bang for your investment, right? Bang for your buck. So, okay, that leads us to our second and final poll. Now that we've gotten you hyped, I'm our cheerleader here. How excited are you to integrate Atlassian Rovo into your team's workflow? And we have some different options. Very excited, can't wait to try it. Somewhat excited, curious to see more about how it works. Neutral, I need some more information to decide. Not very excited, doesn't seem relevant to our needs. And that might be the case for some people if you're just not seeing, I think that, like we talked about, there's some level of people, process, and data maturity that's going to make AI more relevant and more impactful for you. Not excited, not looking for new tools at this time. Again, we talked about tool fatigue. I get it. So I'm hoping everyone's very excited.
I'll tell you what I'm hearing from a lot of my customers is, if you're in leadership right now, you can't afford to not have an AI strategy. It's just it's just expected, and that may not be to make every single investment, but you have to have this is the framework for how we're making these decisions, and this is what's important. Yeah. Not excited, not surprised to see nobody's not excited or not considering. Yeah.
Yep, those results make perfect sense. To your point, Holly, you've got to have an AI answer, an AI strategy. It's the hottest thing going on, which is the third time I've said that. Interesting to see the neutral though. So I would guess the neutral there is kind of all about data security and privacy. I know that's a huge topic of conversation with a lot of my customers, especially if you're in the Fed or SLED or highly protected industries. I would anticipate that's maybe where those answers are coming from. But if you're neutral, feel free to throw something in the Q&A about why you're neutral. What is the more information you need?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm actually, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, a question I get asked constantly is, are you using my data to cross-train? And the answer is no, we're not. So your data is only used to provide the service. We recently updated our legal terms to demonstrate that. And then the service providers that we use, right? OpenAI on the back end, we have a 0-day retention policy committed in our contract with OpenAI. So they are using the data that we share with them only to provide the service. So obviously those types of commitments help get through that security process, the legal process.
And Holly, that's the exact right answer, I think, for a lot of my customers. And as they explore and they read through that documentation you just mentioned, comfort levels will just go up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this actually ties right into a lot of the questions that are now coming in. So feel free, Q&A time. One of the questions is, Rovo only available for the cloud? Are there any connectors or capabilities for data center? I know that's going to be a big question because there are a lot of folks still on data center.
Yeah, I've been fielding this one for quite a while. So right now it is only available to our cloud platform. However, at Team Barcelona, we just announced that we are going to offer a connector for Confluence data center available over the next, let's call it 6-month timeframe. We're still evaluating, sort of scoping other data center products. I want to remind everybody, though, even though we're offering a data center connector, your data will still be in the cloud when you enable Rovo. So you're going to have to get comfortable with your data getting in cloud to see the benefits of Rovo. It is a cloud service only. Yeah.
And I know that is one of the drivers. The new innovative shiny things are going to be in cloud. There's a few questions about integration. So list of products that Rovo can integrate with for that holistic data lake we talked about, or pulling into analytics. And then another question, we're a smaller company, don't have some of the integrations that we talked about, like Slack, Bitbucket, Git. Like, does it still make sense for Rovo there? So maybe just integration as a whole, if we could touch on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 8, that I feel like this is a test. So the 8 are Microsoft SharePoint, Google Drive, Slack, Microsoft Teams, GitHub Figma, and then a web crawler for public websites. So a great use case there is like public API documentation that your engineering teams use often. You can kind of preload that into your knowledge base. That also extends into our platform across Jira, Confluence, and Loom data. So that is what is generally available today. When you go out on our website and enable a Rovo trial, or go into your admin panel and enable a Rovo trial. But and that may feel limiting, but we have a very accelerated time frame to grow that. So we will have 50 data sources available by early 2025. And so we're rapidly sort of expanding the data sets that you can both sort of index into your knowledge source and also take action against. What was the second question? Remind me, Erin.
It was if you're a smaller organization, don't have some of those integrations, does Rovo still make sense there? They use bang for your buck, which made me happy.
I mean, I think the reality is every team is working in multiple tools. So maybe if you don't fit into the 8, watch the space soon. I think that native kind of integrated tool chain visibility is really at the heart of it. But I think the agent platform is something that is unique to our offering. We have a big advantage in that we have been investing in extensibility for years. So our Forge platform, which is a code platform, gives our customers and our partners a lot of configurability and control over building agents to take action. And so I think if you're heading in the direction of agents, you should give us a look. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Cost. We haven't talked about how much does it cost?
Yeah. So if you go out on our website, we've got pricing for an annual plan. It equates to about $20 per user per month at the low end of user tiers. Obviously, we have volume discounts, and so as you get to a higher user tier, the price goes down considerably. I know it's a big investment for people, but we also think there's big value here, especially over the long term. And it is licensed. I'll just also mention it's licensed across your entire unique users on your cloud site. So it's a binary. It's either on or off. You don't license it for a subset of users today. Yeah, and we don't have plans to change that. I know I said today, but I just want to be clear. That's the yeah.
No, that's good to know. Okay, there's a few questions about capabilities in here. Can I use Rovo to evaluate the quality completeness of epic and story description? That's an interesting one.
Absolutely. So, and to kind of tie it back to agentic AI, I'm going to keep saying it now since it's the only word I can pronounce correctly today. You can actually program an agent to evaluate, and you can feed it you can do it a number of different ways. You can say, hey, these 10 stories, these 10 epics have a good description, right? This is the ideal description I want. You can have it come up with that on its own and kind of, work with it to make sure it understands, and then kind of unleash it on you can unleash it on your backlog. You can also have it interact with people in a certain way, right? So maybe you want it to be more interactive. And so someone can say, this is the description I want. Can you give me feedback? Maybe it can just rewrite it, or it can kind of give the person, say, you're missing these key details. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of program an agent to do that. Erin, do you want me to take the forecasting risk question as well, since we're on that topic?
Yes.
Can it forecast risks in projects and integrate governance in workflows for efficiency? Same thing, absolutely, right? That's a really good high level use of the product, right? Obviously, something like forecasting risks, that is a great example of it's giving you time back, but you don't want to stop after Rovo. You don't want to say, hey, the job's done, but it can absolutely give you, hey, based on your current backlog, these might be the risks you need to evaluate, get you started with something, and then you can keep going after that.
Thank you. This is going back to the question about cost and users. So if you have multiple instances of the tools in your company, maybe you're on Cloud Enterprise, you have, multiple instances of Jira, Confluence, Jira Service Management within your organization. Is that a one-time purchase, or do you have to buy and enable Rovo for each instance?
So if you have multiple cloud sites in a single organization, like a cloud org in Atlassian language, you license on the number of unique users on that cloud that org, and then you can turn it on at the site level. So it's the number of unique users where you have it enabled within that org. Yeah. If you have multiple orgs, I believe you have to pay for those users twice. I'm not sure though, that might be a Q&A follow-up. And I don't remember the details on multiple orgs exactly.
Yeah, but definitely there'll be information on the Atlassian site about, pricing, tiers, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what's next, right? Where can you find training on provisioning, onboarding, team verbiage, some of those examples that we showed? Where is there more information or training on those? How do you get some of that set up?
Yeah, we've got resources available on our website. If you go out and search Atlassian Rovo, we've got some of that. I would say it's still early days because we're still we just completed that beta with many of our users and are now crafting onboarding content to help our customers grow this usage within their companies. I think the best change, though, is going to come with a high touch expert like Isos to really engage with you deeply, do user onboarding, do the Q&A with your users so they can best get the leverage of the platform, prioritize those use cases, all the things Andrew said.
Thank you for saying that, Holly. And to the question, we do have a couple packages depending on how much you're looking to take on right now, right? Whether you just want the training or if you want to kind of hyper focus on some use cases like I mentioned earlier, or if maybe you need to do more of a big bang just because of the way you procure or because it makes the most sense. We do have kind of 3 different levels of packages for Rovo implementation.
Okay, great. And there's a few more questions about specifics for cost and things like that, but I'm going to say, I think go out to the website. You'll find a lot of answers there. If you have questions, you can reach out to Isos. We can help answer those as well, like we're talking about. I know that there's some complexities to navigate and obviously, custom situations for everyone, right? As you're trying to figure out how to implement this within your organization. So I would say, start with Atlassian as your source of truth for all things Rovo. And then if you have questions, come to Isos. We're going to leave you with one final takeaway here. And that is why you should use an Atlassian partner to implement and optimize your Atlassian tool. That's kind of what we've been talking about, but right, Rovo, new Atlassian tool. As Holly mentioned, we really think you're going to get the most out of this by consulting with an expert, bringing on a partner that can support you not only with Rovo, but across the Atlassian platform. and see where those connections make sense, where within your organization are the best places to implement this to really have the most impact. So yeah, this is on our website, but again, feel free to reach out to any of us on this webinar, and go to the Isos website, go to the Atlassian website, get more information, and come to us with questions. We're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And if these use cases kind of got you curious and you want to learn more, there's also all of our Team Barcelona content where we, presented use cases is all available on the web if you search Atlassian Team. So, get curious and work across the aisle, go across to other business leaders and talk about use cases. We can do a prioritization workshop. We can talk about and help you on that journey.
Well, thank you, Holly and Andrew. Any last thoughts or tidbits or takeaways before we let everyone go and run off to go buy Rovo?
Maybe I'll just tell a funny little story. I'm here in New York this week for a conference, and I went and got a robot massage. So things are getting weird out there. It was not as good as a human massage, I have to admit, but we're living in an AI and robotic powered world, and the change is coming fast. We all need to have a plan, and tools like Rovo, partners like Atlassian can help you get there.
And I think I'll end with a similar anecdote from one of our customers. She had come to us talking and asking about Rovo, and I think the exact quote was something like she was sick of agents that just suggested the same knowledge base articles, right? And that's previously how virtual agents worked, right? They would just suggest the first knowledge base article that hit a search criteria. And so we're finally at the point with agents and with AI now that it's much more highly intelligent. It's not just going to suggest a knowledge base article. It's going to give you a much more thoughtful answer. So it's an exciting time to be in the business, exciting time to be in technology.
Yeah, it really is.
If you take nothing else away from this, Rovo cannot give you a massage, but it can definitely make your work life easier.
Yeah, that's it. Erin, there's a reason for marketing. That's brilliant.